Welcome back to Dynasty Fantasy Football Maniacs. Now, today we're going to start covering the tight end rookies again after post draft. I know our last tight end release for rookies seemed like we got a lot of hits on that, a lot of searches. So, it must have been a pretty interesting episode for that many people to tune in. I believe it was close to 483 tuned in, almost 500. So that's pretty good, I think. For us being new, we've only started this show back in February, so we're still green, I guess you could say, behind the ears, and or wet behind the ears is what they would say. I mean, we're we're just kind of moving along, me and Austin, but we're definitely enjoying ourselves while we're doing this, and we're trying to give you guys the best content. Really, honestly, when we're doing this, we're trying to hopefully help someone out in a dynasty league or a redraft league and give them some good advice, help them on their research, point them in the right direction. So today we're going to cover our top 10 tight ends. And as usual, me and Austin don't always agree, but that's the whole point of this show is us two sitting here as two commissioners in different games, kind of feed off each other on like who we think is better than who we don't. Uh, so number 10, Austin ranked Dalen Hawker. I did not rank Dalen Hawker. He was undrafted, but he did go to the Saints. And then after I got to digging, I was like, oh, not a bad like dark horse to pick for a tight end. I mean, touche. I mean, that'd be like if I'd have done a little harder research, I could have probably put him in my top 10, but I didn't. And sometimes that helps because when you look at someone else that went out and put it together, it makes you think, oh, okay, this could possibly work. Now, do I think Dallin Hawker is going to be a starter this year? No. Do I think he has a high potential chance of getting that job sooner or later? Yes. So I was looking at their tight ends. I mean, they got Juan Johnson, the Saints, uh, Foster, Tenson Hill, and I know he's like the fifth, and but that could subjectively change for tight ends. I mean, some of these tight ends I'm naming, the only reason they're in their position is because other people's done left. I mean, so it'd be interesting to see how that all plays out. But did get a land on a team. That's most important thing. He was undrafted, but he's not ranked in the projections for ESPN. And I noticed that some of the undrafted players never got ranked. So that kind of like you don't really know where they're at with the thing because you don't know what they're playing. I mean, overall, he did very well in college, especially his last year. He did really well at Colorado State. But I think he's a good pick. I mean, I could see him being a 10.
So this was an interesting dark horse that I wanted to throw out there because the reason why I have him on top 10 on my top 10 is yeah, he's not I don't really see him starting and it's a shot, but I mean you got especially after this year's Juwan Johnson's contract, they could literally cut him and not they would not be hurting at all.
That's true.
Then Taysom Hill, you can actually he has to play this year or you're gonna hit a lot of dead money. But after this year in 2025, they could actually eat some of that dead money because they'd still some of the savings they would get would knock some of that away too. So after 2024, both Taysom Hill and Jawan Johnson are they could literally just either cut them or just trade trade them away or just let them test free agency due to the fact that that just depends on how they play. So I took Dallin Holker as a chance because yeah, he's an undrafted free agent, but at the same time, if he does well, I could see him actually winning a spot, actually being one of the key people in tight ends. because even with Foster Moreau, I mean, teams still need at least two tight ends because even with Foster Moreau after this year, they could cut him too. So I just took him as a dark horse because he could literally, if depending on how everything goes, he could literally still have a chance next year of still being on this roster. We've seen crazy things happen in the NFL before.
Yes. So a little history. I agree with the first two. They're going to end up going away, and I believe Dallin Hawker is going to get his opportunity. I don't think Taysom Hill will go anywhere. I think he's 8 years. Next year will be 9. And then next year is going to be 10. And he's such a utility player. He'll always
Even with
hold
the
that.
age, though.
Well, it's because he's a utility player. He can play quarterback, and he does a very good job at it. So he's plays it off and on. I think they'll keep him as a third tight end because of that.
If he did a very good job at quarterback, they wouldn't have gotten Derek Carr.
No, you didn't hear me.
What'd
I
you
didn't
say?
say. I said he's good at backing them up when they need him for special plays. Is what I was meaning.
Oh,
He can utilize them. He's done some
okay.
good for him. There's times he scored points because of that.
At
But
age 34, yeah, I'd
I don't
say
see him.
sayonara.
I think he'll end up retiring at New Orleans. But I
I see him
also,
retiring, which will be either
yeah.
next year they cut
But
him and
just,
they sign him to a 1 day deal and let him retire.
well, a little harsh. But the
Oof.
positive thing, what I'm trying to get out of this is a lot of people don't know Taysom Hill was a undrafted tight end when Green Bay
Yep.
picked him. So
Yep.
doesn't mean that Dalen Hawker can't move up to the front and take over. And the reason why Taysom Hill is still there at at the Saints is because of what he has done. Um, so it's not extraordinary, but it's enough to say, hey, you're good enough for us. But I like your pick. I think it's a good dark horse. I'm with you on it. So um, it's going to be a minute before I get to my 10 because I'm going to go ahead and give you my 9 before I give you my 10 because my 10 is your 9. So my
Oh.
9 is Tip Raymond. So really, me and Austin only disagrees at the end. After this is going to be like we're going to be like clapping our hands together and singing along as we go through the rest. So um, so I picked Tip. He is going to Arizona. Um, it was very tough ranking the tight ends at the end here because I mean it's a very good class through the top 5. I think maybe top 6. Then after that, I think there's a deep fall off. He's ranked 78, which is pretty high for a tight end overall for tight end. He's 455 for players, all players ranked. They don't project him to score much. I think total points he could possibly score is kind of like Darnell Washington did for Pittsburgh. The reason why is he is a blocker. He's like 6'8", 270 pounds, I believe. Let me zoom in on this. I can't read. My eyes are going. He's 6'5". Done made the guy taller and everything. He's 6'5" and 270. That's huge. He played for
Yeah.
Illinois. He was a great blocker for Illinois. He helped out the run game a lot. He also helped protect the quarterback. Um, I honestly think they'll utilize him for that currently. I don't see him getting the ball a whole lot. He is behind Trey McBride. Trey McBride earned the job after Zach Ertz went down. Uh, and he did a good job. And Trey McBride ain't a small guy either. But I also see Arizona using that as a tool right there, two tight end in. When they put the two tight ends on the field, I can see them two on the field. And then you kind of got a little bit of danger because he could technically throw to either one of them. And they're both good with their hands. And on top of that, they're both good with blocking. Um, I still think Trey McBride will always be the tight end 1 right now for Arizona. I'd pick up Tip, but he's more of a flex and a taxi because I'll be honest. Once a quarterback picks their tight end, they don't usually have like two tight ends they throw to. So it's like once he picks his tight end that he likes, the other one is only going to get a hit or miss. So
I can see him having a couple games that are good if Trey McBride gets hurt.
he'd be a good pickup if you had it. Like for instance, if you had Trey McBride, I would pick this guy up as your backup.
Oh no, a tight end cuff.
That's what I'm saying. I hate him, but it's true. Sometimes you have that, and we're going to come across a lot of that in this talk. There's a couple others, but I think they're so talented that it's not really going to be a handcuff. But so
Right.
my number, so that was my number 9. My number 10, and your number 9 was AJ Barner. He's ranked 97 among the tight ends, which he's ranked lower than who I just talked about, and he's also ranked 517. He's going to the Seahawks. So the Seahawks tight end room.
It's not good.
No, it's not good. He's got Noah Fant in front of him and Farrell Brown. Farrell struggled at New England, and I just don't see him producing here. Noah Fant has his moments. Older. He's 30 years old, and he's a lot older, aging. He's a big guy. He's 6'6", 245 pounds. He has a good chance. I mean, that tight end right there has a good chance to move up. AJ has an opportunity to get ahead, be the backup to Noah Brown. He would be good to stash on your taxi squad at this moment, because I honestly think he probably won't be utilized right away. And that's just my opinion. But I would definitely put him on my taxi squad.
I think he has a chance of actually taking over this damn tight end room.
Yeah.
Especially after this year, because they could cut Noah Fant and save over $5 million in cap, and Farrell Brown has only got a 1 year deal with him, and at age 30, I highly doubt they're going to re-sign him. So I can see him either taking. I can see him if taking over this tight end room
Yeah.
because even so, it's not really going to matter because Geno Smith is going to throw it to DK, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith in the jig bus. So because Noah Fant only had 43 targets in this offense last year.
Yep. He only scored
So
73 points
so
in
re-
PPR.
so regardless, I still have him projected to take over this tight end room, but he's still at 9 because of all them weapons that they have up there. And by them showing me that they really like throwing it to the other ones instead of the tight end this much. So
And
either way.
Geno really doesn't really throw the tight ends. He throws the running backs and he throws the wide receivers. It's his main targets. The
Well,
tight
he
ends
did.
are his escapes. And since the O line is so good at Seattle, he doesn't use his escapes that much.
I will say that he did throw more to Noah Fant. He had actually 20 more targets in 2022, but that was also before JSN came in. So once JSN came in, that's when you started seeing the targets and receptions and everything else dip once JSN came in. So I believe it's going to be the same way too until, Tyler Lockett finally, he finally calls it, I'm done, or the Seahawks finally actually let him go or whatever. And then there's like another third stud of a wide receiver on that team. But either way, these are still dark horses too. So
Yeah. And the funny thing about it is the ADP, which doesn't go by stats, it goes by people's opinions. The average
yep,
draft position is all based on opinions. Uh,
yep,
the interesting thing about that, there's a majority, not a majority, but they're tier 8, Dallin Hooker and AJ Barner. They're actually right next to each other. One's 80, which is AJ, and then Dallin's 81. And a lot of people have high hopes on both of them guys because for a tier 8, for a tight end, that's pretty good. Now, this is just tight ends. This ain't got all the other positions in it. If I did that, they'd probably be a lot farther down to tier 8.
Mhm.
But average draft position, they got AJ Barden go from 37 to 87 pick, and they got Dale and Hawker 56 to 84. That's pretty good overall. And then the guy I had picked, number 9, Tip Redmond, he was only one tier higher than them. He's tier 7, and he's about the same average draft pick as AJ Brown. I mean, or Barner, I'm sorry, 34 to 77. So I mean, they're close. They're not in the top 5 tiers, but they're tiered out pretty decent. I mean, there's tiers after that. There's tier 10 is where, well, tier 10 ends the tight ends, because in tier 10 it only has free agents listed and a few players. So it's like, don't be in tier 10. Okay, stay away. But the next one I think is an exciting one. I felt like I felt ESPN ranked him wrong. I really do. Me and Austin both agree he should be 8. That's Eric All. He's going to Cincinnati. Cincinnati has a wide receiver crew, but they've always lacked an important part, and that's the tight end crew. And I feel like them adding Eric All improves that crew. Now, I know offseason they went out and got some other players. They picked up Mike Ginsky from New England. I don't think he's that great of a tight end. He has his moments. They had Drew
Yep.
Sample. He's never really proved to do anything. Then they have Tanner Hudson, which is a free agent. Or they picked him up for San Francisco. He was a free agent in 22, never was drafted. Then you got Eric All, 4th. I think the 3 rookies, Tanner, McLaughlin, and Eric All, have an opportunity to move ahead of all these guys. I think yet they put senior guys there, but I think these 2 guys have a potential chance of taking the room. And Eric All, if you watch him play, and sadly enough, I had to watch him play. Not sadly enough, I shouldn't have said that, but he's actually a pretty good. He can catch the ball. Now he didn't have a whole lot of yards, but he did have one big year, and then the second year was not so big. 21, he was probably his best year. 23, not so much. But he went to Iowa, and I think anybody that ends up going to Iowa ends up doing something special to you, and then you become a star. And there I go beating up the mic again. I'm so sorry. Uh,
There's some Iowa tight ends. Tight end
yeah,
you, baby.
yeah, yeah. So he spent 4 years at Michigan, and then his last year he finished his stuff off at Iowa. So I don't know. I mean, I just think once he connects with Joe Burrow, it might be a different world. We'll have to wait and see. He's a big guy too. I mean, he's what, 6'5", 250 pounds. Yeah, 23-year-old young guy out of Iowa, 4th round pick. So it's gonna be exciting. See how he does. I
Yeah.
just think they got him underranked. I really do.
Yeah, I think he has a chance of getting that. He has a chance of getting that starting spot, even with them signing them veterans, because they only signed the veterans to a 1 year deal, except for Drew Sample. He's still got at least 2 or 3 more years of his contract, but they can also get out of his contract too in a couple of years. So I can see him outworking these guys if he's more physically gifted. I can see him outworking these guys and working his way into the starting spot.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
slowly growing in the ADP.
Oh yeah, and I can also see him growing even more than what he's growing now.
Yeah, so he's right now projected tier 6 for tight ends. He's projected to go between 18 to 85 in picks, and he's +8 already. He's right there. He doesn't pass Kate Stover, and he's right behind Luke Shoemaker, Dallas, and he's in the same class with Darren Waller. So, and Hayden Hurst. I mean, so I definitely am excited for the guy. Uh, He would be a pick for me. I'm always keen on anything that comes from Iowa. Grab it, put it on your bench, put it in your taxi squad, and see what happens. Even though he only played 1 year, something just tells me the Iowa touch turns you into a
Well, hey,
professional football tight end.
I'll tell you a story about Iowa football and tight ends because last year in in our rookie draft, so it was your first year we joined. When we do the rookie draft, you know, a lot of people talk about it's almost a sin for you taking the tight end in the first round. So I committed the sin, and at like the 107 or 106, I grabbed Sam Laporta
Oh yeah, that was well
and,
worth it.
everyone kind of looked at me. I was like, "What are you doing? You drafted a tight end in the first round? You know those rookies don't work like that." And I was like, "You're probably right, but you know what? Something told me to get it because he came from Iowa, and now I have one of the top 5 tight ends on my team from
Yeah.
Iowa."
So actually, I don't think we disagree anywhere else in this. The next one, we're both in agreement with Jarrett Wiley. Um, ADP pretty much has him as tier 7. Um, he's third on the roster. Now, he does not get the starter's position right out the bat, but in time, his size, he's being built for something later on. You got Travis Kelsey still there at the Chiefs, and Noah Gray is not that bad of a tight end. So I don't see Jarrett Wiley jumping above them two yet, but it all depends on where Kelsey goes. What does Kelsey decide to do? He's going to play this year, and if he stays healthy, Jarrett's probably not going to see the ball that much. I probably wouldn't draft him, but I am ranking him 7 because if I did need him in a team, he'd be a good person to put on a taxi squad for 2 years because in 2 years, I could see him become relevant. Um, they do have him ranked 86 overall in tight ends for projections, but points are very low. They got him ranked total 498 in players. So talented guy, situation's bad.
Yeah, they literally just gave Travis Kelsey a raise and made him the highest paid tight end. So I don't see him going anywhere for the next 2 years
Mm.
because this is his contract. He's only got 2 more years left. But
I'm going to tell you right now, that guy will retire at the Chiefs. There will be no cutting for the
uh,
Chiefs.
no, I mean no, and if they tried to, Patrick Mahomes wouldn't let them,
No, no,
and
they
they're going to listen to their franchise quarterback. So
and that's something I'm proud about the Kelsey brothers. I mean, both of them went to their teams. His brother retired for the Eagles. The Eagles was it. And I see Kelsey doing the same thing. They're old school. Both come out of Cincinnati. Both have great careers. Both of them Super Bowl rings. Uh, I mean, and I honestly believe we see him maybe. No, let's not say that. Well, I'm just leave it at that. But
no, oh
I just
man, I want
say
to hear it.
no, 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 no. I need someone to
You
take me
hide,
out. I'm hiding something I should not even
you
thought or even
hiding.
said.
Well, see, here's the thing though. Okay, so they only got 2 more years left for Travis Kelsey's contract, but then they only have Noah Brown. They have Noah Brown, and he's actually working on his last deal, like his last year on his deal.
Yeah, Noah Gray.
Yeah, Noah Gray. So it's like Jared Wiley could actually not this year. He could actually move up to the backup spot right behind Kelsey next year
Well, that's what
if
us.
he does do pretty good. And yeah, I am just echoing what you said. So he could actually take that over in the backup spot. Now, if who knows what happens after this year? Because if the Chiefs win another Super Bowl, you could honestly, I could see Travis Kelce coming back, being like, "Well, I want a four-peat or whatever. I don't see it.
Oh,
I don't see it happening, but I'm just throwing out scenarios. I could see him if they don't win it this year. If they don't win it again, and be like, "Oh, we went, 3 times in a row, back to back." I can see him. He's living a luxurious life outside of football. He's dating one of the most influential and biggest, singers in the world. I mean, he's out there living life on tour with her, and they go on
I believe
vacations and stuff. I think if they don't win again, I think he really probably sits there and consider like, oh, man, do I really want to go into the summer and training camp and bust my ass and try to do this, or I can just literally just go and have fun with my boo thing. So it'll be interesting, but I guess we'll see.
yeah, I heard a rumor that if Andy Reid retired, he would retire. So
I I can see that. I can definitely see that
I
because
think
Andy Reid.
he loved them brothers. He loved both of them. He was very fond of both Kelsey brothers. He thought highly of them, and it was his older brother that got him drafted by Andy Reid. So
Mhm.
I mean, it's neat how they have that friendship there. But Jason did tell me he got a
Yeah,
little out of hand shaking him on the game that one day. But if you listen to their podcast, they do have an interesting podcast. So
I've heard the explanation.
yeah. So moving on to the next one, Jaheim Bell. He went to New England. We both have him ranked 6. Now, I will tell you, ESPN is not high on him. That doesn't mean we don't rank him high because that's ESPN statistics, and they did rank him for tight end. I don't understand why, because when I look at him, Jaheim, I think there's a high chance he will do something.
Right.
So Jaheim Bell, he's coming from Florida State. I think he's really going to be a good help for New England. He is fourth in line. They picked up Henry Hunter from the Chargers. They also picked up Austin Hooper, and they also picked up Mitchell Wilcox. Mitchell's never done anything. Hopper's had his chances, but I don't think he's ever succeeded, and he's never going to be the guy. The only real competition Jaheim Bell has is Henry Hunter. And honestly, I look at the two and I think he's better than Henry Hunter. So I think he's just put in that position because he's a rookie.
You
And
mean
yet,
Hunter Henry?
yeah, Henry Hunter for Vegas.
His name is Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry. I'm sorry, I got the name mixed up. It's backwards. Sorry. But it's the same name. Henry Hunter. All right. Oh my God, the first person that ever pulled up on my screen, we clicked a button and then there's Jim Hardball. I gotta do something about that. Uh but I'm high on the guy. And I think a lot of other people are high on him, thinking that he's gonna be a good pick. Just looking at tight ends, he's a tier 6. So he's in the same class as Cade Stover, Eric Hall. He is above Jarrett Wiley. So I think there's a high potential. And New England's a fresh new team. You got a new coach, new quarterback. Unsure, a lot of things unsure there. Wide receiver course kind of there, and tight end course kind of there. So it's a developing team, and no one really has a answer of what's going to happen.
See, he's another one that I believe that after this year he'll definitely be probably taking over the tight end role because he got drafted. He got drafted in
Seventh round.
seventh round, but he still has a 4-year deal with them.
Yep.
Hunter Henry's only got after this year you can cut him, or in a couple of years you can cut him. Austin
Well,
Hooper, he's only signed one. He's only
yeah.
signed a 1-year deal, so I don't see him sticking around. So I could really see Jaheim Bell taking over this role. Actually, probably next year. He'd be a great stash. Man, a lot of these, the ones we're naming off, will be great stashes too, because they could have a possibility of taking over the damn tight end spot, or at least having some influence in the tight end spot, in the number one spot
Yeah, so
coming
Hunter,
next year.
yeah, Hunter Henry was ranked 19 overall tight ends last year for PPR. He had 61 targets, 419 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he had a pretty good. It's what you call a low end tight end, and it's what a lot of teams end up having to use. But I think Jaheim Bell has a higher bar than that. I think he could be above that 19 if he gets the opportunity.
Mm, yeah, it also depends on how well Drake May is.
That's true. Drake May will be the one that tells the story. All right, so let's go to the next one we agree on. It's still fun, even though we agree. I still enjoy the conversation. So,
Right.
so the next one we're going to go on to is Cade Stover from Ohio State, Houston. So we both agree that he's number 5. Again, ESPN is not high on him. He's ranked 90 for tight end, 506 for overall players. But that's ESPN. If you get into the fantasy world for Dynasty, he is looked upon as a tier 6 tight end. Estimated rank draft 26 to 81 pick. Almost just like Eric All, 18 to 85. Jaheim Bell, who we just talked about, 27 to 80. It's all in that range. So he's still high for and he's on the upward thing. And I think the reason he's on the upward thing is he's with Houston. I mean, anybody with Houston is on an upward trend. The depth chart, he's behind a good tight end. But Dalton Schultz is also aging, also prone to injuries, and time is going to end up, he'll not be there at Houston no more. And I think that's what they're doing. They're getting ready to move that. And there I go beating my mic again. They're fixing to go move onto the newer generation. So I think that's one reason why they picked up Cade Stover. And really, the people behind Cade Stover are not that great. They've never really done anything. And basically, that's why he's the number 2 guy. So there's a high potential. He could take that spot this year, but it all depends. And if anybody's familiar with CJ Stroud, like I am, uh, he loves his tight ends. So I think it's a good fit. And he played with him in college and did well. So they'll already have that connection.
Well, you're right about one thing. CJ Stroud does love his tight ends, because Dalton Schultz finished as the 10th tight end last year.
Yep.
Yeah, he had 88 targets, 59 receptions. Uh, the yards, he had 635, which is pretty good, and then he had 5 touchdowns. So Dalton Schultz is only on a 3-year deal. He's only got 3 years left. Um, he could he has to be the starter this year, because
The
they're
money.
not gonna they're the money. The money is it. Uh,
Unless
you
there's an
could
injury, he's going to be the guy that's going to be out there.
you could have an argument with to the 2025 if they want to eat the dead cap, but the best time uh, to get rid of him would be in 2026, because they'd be saving 11 million, over 11 million. But if Kate Stover, I could see Kate Stover, if he really shows out in training camp and stuff. It won't be Nick. It won't. I don't think it'll be this year, but I think next year it would be a good fighting chance of him actually taking over. Unless
Yes.
unless Dalton Schultz gets hurt, then like if Dalton Schultz misses 5 games, but Cade Stover goes out there and he averages, let's just say fantasy point wise, averages, anything over 10, which would be pretty good in tight end perspectives. If he averaged that or a little bit over 10, but in the NFL, he actually averages, like, let's just say he gets like, since CJ Stroud loves tight ends, he gets like anywhere between 20 to 30 targets in 4 games if Dalton Schultz did miss that. I could see them questioning, well, do we really need to keep Dalton Schultz as a starter? Because Case Over has actually shown us some great things. So it's going to be interesting. Dalton Schultz just got to stay healthy to keep his spot, because if he winds up getting hurt, he has a chance of actually losing it.
Yep. And that goes under our number 4. I feel the same way about our number 4. The only difference is they got our number 4 back a little bit farther than Cade Stover. They got Theo Johnson as the 4th tight end on the team. Um, Darren Waller, I get it, but he's not going to be at the Giants much longer, and he's not doing what
Hell,
he used to do.
hell,
And
he's already done contemplating retirement this year,
yeah,
and he still
and
has not gave them an answer yet.
yeah, and then you got Daniel Bellinger, and then Jack Stahl. I mean, these guys have never really. They're there because of time, the experience. So it's understandable. Like, this is new. They're going through OTAs. You're going to have spring. I think this is why the ADP is so high on Theo Johnson. And I also believe, actually, ESPN had him ranked a little bit higher, not much higher. They're not really nice to this tight end class. They have them ranked 480 and 83. So he was ranked higher than some of the other tight ends we talked about, but he is higher up in Dynasty. Um, he's a tier 5, and he's going up higher. And I think a lot of that is what you just talked about. There is the question: does Darren Waller stay? Hands down, if you look at this guy's film, you look at his experience, you look at Daniel Billinger, which I looked up, I looked up Jack Stoll. Theo will pass these two guys. And it might not happen in the first 2 games. It might not happen until mid-season, but by the end of the season, if Darren Waller ain't there, tight end 1 spot will be Theo Johnson. And I'd be very now I did look at a little bit of Billinger's tape. There's a chance Billinger could get tight end 1 and he get tight end 2. But either way, you would see a progression. Um, everybody behind him, I don't see any of them jumping ahead of him. And I sat there and I went through a lot of information before I made that decision. Um, that's why I ranked him 4 too. I would rank him 4. I would take the risk of putting him on my taxi squad because I believe he has a high potential.
I I'm in total agreement with you. I think the only person that might give him a run for his money if Darren Waller does leave is Daniel Bellinger, but even then, I still think Theo Johnson has a real chance of even beating Daniel Bellinger, because that dude's just a physical specimen, and I just think he's going to take over this tight end room. I know I keep saying that for a lot of these guys, but these are secret stashes that, if the pieces fall right, you can see a lot of them either being backups or startings for their teams they land on, because of either age or contracts, and how they only got like maybe 1 year left. I mean, it's interesting. Honestly, people are going to be higher on him, especially when Darren Waller finally does decide he is going to retire or not. I mean, maybe he should go into a dark room, kind of like how Aaron Rodgers did, to see if he finds that inner answer in him, if he wants to retire or not. But I could see Theo taking it, because at first I was a little bit iffy on Theo, but as I watched more tape and watched a lot more people talk, I'm starting to grow a lot more on Theo. I don't like the fact that he goes with the Giants, but you know, that's just my fandom bias.
Right.
But still, I think he really does have a good chance of taking over this spot.
So that moves on to our number 3, Jatavian Sanders. We both agree on. He went to Carolina Panthers. Right now, they got him behind Tommy Tremble. Tommy finished 40 in tight ends. He had 32 targets, received the ball 23, 194 yards. He had a chance to break out. Hayden Hurst was tight end 1 last year, but he stayed injured majority of the year. I don't even think he did very good in the rankings. I mean, either one of them. I mean, they're Tommy's 40. He ranked just above Dawson Knox for Buffalo and Zach Ertz, which Zach Ertz stayed injured. And the guy we were talking about just a minute ago, Daniel Bellinger, was 45. So they all ranked higher than Austin Hopper. So Hooper. Hayden Hurst ended up finishing 50. So, I mean, the window is there, the chance is there. This is a guy that had 600 yards 2 years back to back as a tight end in college, which is good for a tight end. Over 54 to 45 receptions. That means he handles the ball well, able to go down to yards. He scored touchdowns. That's good. He also has done some rushing. So he's a very fast paced guy. I really think he'd be worth putting up and stashing on your taxi squad. If nothing else, he could be. I really think he's going to do better than Tommy. I mean, I think he's going to be tight end 1 at the end of the day. So
I can see that, but I'm really curious about. I got him in high because I agree with most of the things you say. But the only thing I want to know is how the Panthers are going to be utilizing him this coming year. Like, or since they drafted Jonathan Brooks, and you know, are they going to want to run the ball? And if they're going to run the ball a pretty good bit, then they'll probably use Jatavian Sanders as a blocker. So, but I still like him. I still think I really think he's gonna beat Tommy Trimble. I really do. I mean,
I do too.
nothing I see from Tommy Trimble really stands out. Saying, "Oh yeah, that's the guy. He's gonna have a tough time with him." I
And
don't.
they
I don't think so.
and they have an interested running back group. They got Chuba Hubbard, Jonathan Brooks,
I
and
think.
Miles Sanders.
I think. Well, I think Miles Sanders is washed,
Yeah,
but
he had his
I
chance last year and struggled.
I think they got Chuba Hubbard first right now. That way, Jonathan Brooks, he came out. He's like got that had that serious leg injury.
Yes.
So I think that what they're gonna do is they're gonna slowly bring in Jonathan Brooks, and then eventually Jonathan Brooks is gonna be how he was before he got injured. Now, most of the time with ACL injuries and stuff, it usually takes 1 year for them to kind of get back into the football mode that year, but usually the second year is when the running back is either back to himself or he just exceeds all expectations after the year after the injury. But either way, I still like Sanders. I think he's going to take over Tommy Trimble's job. Um, and I'm hoping because Bryce Young will, especially if I'm going to go try and snag just Tavion Sanders. I'm hoping he starts loving him as a pacifier or a blankie for him and throw it to him pretty good bit.
So that goes on to our number 2. We both agree on Ben Sennett.
I heard a
And
I heard a nickname for him,
what's that?
and it was funny. And it's also ironic because he went to the Commanders, but I've heard a lot of people in the fantasy community calling him Ben Senator, like a senator.
Yes.
They call him Ben Senator, and they made jokes about it at first, but then when he got drafted to the Washington Commanders, that just made it even more funnier. But I just want to throw that out there because I thought it was funny.
Yeah. So let me tell you something. This is where I look at Ben Sennett. He is a guy to pick up if you have Zach Ertz on your team. He is not going to start before Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz only ranked 43 because he played 7 games. He's ranked ahead of players that played the entire season and scored more. Now, they said, well, why didn't he stay with the other team? 1 was for age, 2 for injury, and his backup was great. So the team said we had to move on. They picked Trade McBride. I do not see Washington moving on Zach Ertz unless Zach Ertz don't perform or he gets hurt. Now, he's 100% healthy right now. He's ready to go. And until he goes down, I don't see Ben Sennett getting that spot. But I would pick him up because I have Zach Ertz. And I would wait until he gets injured because Sennett is the guy. And he will be the guy. He is that Trade McBride. As soon as he gets the touch, Zach will not have a job no more. Just like the other team. It's the age is going to scare the team. That's why Washington didn't invest a whole lot. It's a 1-year deal, kind of. Um, I think there's maybe 2 years in it, but I'd have to look at how the whole deal is written. But I'm pretty sure they can get out of it pretty quick next year. So I think he's the middle guy for.
They only, they only have him as a 1 year deal.
Yep. So if he goes down, and if you watch Ben Sennett in college at Kansas State and watch his film, he is the guy. He is the Trey McBride. He is the guy that goes into the next slot, and he would be
I
definitely would like him on my team if I could get him because I'd be afraid Zach Ertz would get hurt.
I just think Ben Simmons is just gonna beat Zach Ertz out of the job,
I
even
don't
if
think
Zach
he's
Ertz. I do
yeah.
because I think we're getting to the point where it's time to take Zach Ertz out in the back and put Old Yeller down
I don't think it's
because
that bad yet.
but I mean he only played 10 games in 2022 and then he only played 7 games last year. We're on the verge of he's 33 years old. He's only signed a 1 year deal. And who even knows if he's going to be able to play a whole year anymore because he just can't stay healthy.
Well,
So
that's why I'm
I
high on
th-
Ben Simmons.
exactly that's the reason why I'm high on Ben Simmons because I believe Ben Simmons is going to take this job this year. And I with Jaden Daniels there, I think we're gonna see something start cooking pretty good down there in Washington.
Yep, and everybody's pretty high on this guy, just not you and me. Um, so ESPN even had him ranked 55. He's the second best ranked rookie coming out this year for tight ends. It's 55 among all the tight ends. And I believe he'll finish higher than 55 if he gets a chance to play. Um, they have him currently ranked 345 over players. And on just the Dynasty League, he is a tier 3 tight end. And he's projected to go best 12, which is first round. And he could worst be 25. So he's a first, second, third rounder pick. And I think it's duly noted that that's really what he is. He could possibly be that guy, and we'll have to wait and see. So I'm high on him, and hoping he could join my team.
Oh, I'm sure you can get him. I'm
I
sure
want to get
you
him
can
for the right
definitely get him.
price. I don't want to jump too hard at him, but be interesting. So if anybody's in our league that's watching our show, you need to draft him first round, or you won't get him. I'm just kidding.
No, they should.
They should. This will help me out a
Yes,
lot.
they should. They
This
should
will help
definitely
you out.
listen. They should definitely listen to us.
Yeah, do that little Jedi. Pick them first
Yeah,
round.
take them
All right.
first round. You won't regret it.
We won't regret it. All right. So we also finally to the final guy. And we're not going to talk a whole lot about this guy because he is the guy. I mean, he's the man, Brock Bowers. I mean, I don't like the draft position he went to just because of what the Raiders already had and the players were doing so good. And he is above them players. They got him even starting above Mike Mayer, and one of the guys on that. Did you notice the third tight end is one of the guys that I had in
Yep.
my we're gonna have to do that show soon. I'm gonna finish out the list this week and see who I got left on it. I think Michael Thomas is the only one that hasn't signed anywhere. Uh, but Harrison, he ended up coming to Vegas. He's not tight end two. He ain't tight end one. That's why he left Cleveland. That's why he's where he's at. He's never been tight one, tight end two. Um, Everybody else behind there is who they are. Um, your two best tight ends is Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer. And Michael did very good last year, so it's kind of shocked that they grabbed Brock. But Brock is a unique talent. And I think they could utilize both of these tight ends as receivers. And I wouldn't doubt if they do that. And it would be interesting on that two tight end set that they use and how that would work. Uh, Brock Bowers is the highest ranked projection for ESPN. He's 12. He's also ranked 140 among all the players for projection. So, tiering wise, shocking. He's only a tier two for tight ends. But tight ends tier one is small. They have Sam Laporta and Trey McBride for tier one. And then tier two for Dynasty. This is Dynasty, mind you. We're not talking redraft. Mark Andrews, Dalton Kincaid, Brock Bowers, Kyle Pitts, TJ Hawkinson, and Travis Kelsey. And I think that is perfectly ranked for Dynasty. That'd be how I would say it. I don't think
I
best ball would be the same. Best ball, you would move your Mark Andrews up, your Travis Kelsey to tier one. Trey McBride would stay. Sam Laporta would stay. That's more sensible to me. Them top four right there. But Dynasty, you're looking at longevity now. So Dynasty, you're looking at age. If you don't already have Kelsey, you're not going to get Kelsey. If you're in a startup, you're not going to probably go after Kelsey unless you're trying to build a team to go that year. Um, Mark Andrews the same way. Mark Andrews is starting to get injured and having his thing. And his backup is just as good, Isaiah Likely. So, I mean, it's interesting on how that's all going to work out.
yeah, I get it. I get it why the Raiders pick. I get it and I don't get it. I get it for one hand because it's Brock Bowers. But on the other hand, I don't get it because they already had Michael Mayer, which they spent an early second round pick on. But I get it. He's a good talent. They've got him talking like he's like the next unicorn. It's gonna be interesting in how they use Brock Bowers because they talked about also I saw rumors and stuff where they also talked about putting him in a slot, in the lower slot instead of lining up on tight ends and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how they use him. And also it's going to depend on what the head coach is going to do because Antonio Pierce, he likes to run the ball. He definitely likes to run the ball. Especially, he didn't want to let go Josh Jacobs, but obviously Josh Jacobs wanted the money.
And
But
saying that, I'm looking at their wide receiver core. I could see them lining Brock Bowers up on the lower end because Trey Tucker's there, right? You got Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams. You drop Brock Bowers down there. That's that's going to make something interesting. You got Michael Gallup
Right,
there, but
right.
yeah,
But
I could see that.
right, so but I still think they're gonna I still think they wanna run the ball because last year, Josh Jacobs, I know he missed a couple of games because of injury. He missed some games, but even whenever he had the games did play, he had 233 attempts. And then when Zamir White came in to fill in for Josh Jacobs, he had in those games, he had 104 attempts, which that's so that tells me that's like over 300 attempts in just the running game. So it's going to be interesting how they use Rob Bowers because it's going to determine how much they want to run the ball. And over 300 attempts between two running backs tells me ooh, I this coach really likes to run the ball. But I still think now I'm not gonna go out there and say right now. I know people are so high on Brock Bowers, but I'm not gonna go out there and say he's gonna have a Sam Laporta season because not everybody has a rejuvenated Jared Goff because they're working with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah.
So, but
I wouldn't count him out. He's that athletic.
I'm not I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying I'm not gonna say he is yet.
Gotcha. For some
I I
reason, I thought
I,
I had Samir Watt, but I don't.
I still think no, if you don't have Zamir White, now's the time to get him. I still think he's going to do good. I'm not going to say he's going to have a breakout season automatically like Sam Laporta. I think he can, but I'm not going to go ahead. I'm not going to say that yet because I just want to see how this offense is going to operate. I like Bob Bowers. I think he's definitely going to be in the top 10 of the overall tight end. So it'll be interesting. I want to see. It'll be interesting. I want to see how this offense goes and how Antonio Pierce goes with this offense.
Yeah, it would be interesting. So with that, that covers our tight ends.
Oh, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I can tell you who does have Zamir White in your league.
I already see. I already checked. I already checked both leagues.
Okay, continue.
So to cover our list, number one, obviously, me and Austin both went with Brock Bowers going to the Raiders. Number two, Ben Sennett for the Commanders. Number three, Jatavian Sanders to the Panthers. Theo Johnson to the Giants. We both agree. Five, Cade Stover to the Texans. Uh, we both agree. Jaheim Bell for the Patriots, number six. And number seven, we both agree. Jarrett Wiley for the Chiefs. We also ranked Eric All, number eight, for the Bengals. And to disagree, oops, clicked it. Austin had AJ Marner for the Seahawks at 9. I had AJ Marner at 10. My 9 was Tip Raymond for the Cardinals. And Austin's number 10 was Dolan Hawker for the Saints. So I think they're all good ranks. If you want to get these rankings, you can go to our Twitter page, TDFFMNMS at that's our X, Twitter, whatever. We have all of our rankings there for you guys to view at any time you want to review them and look at them. If you disagree, let us know why. If it's helping you out, let us know it helps you out. If it doesn't help you out, let us know it doesn't help you out. Comments are always nice. That a whole conversation. Um, I want to thank all the people that do tune in. On an average, our videos usually get 8 to 350, which is a big range, but I think that's pretty interesting. I mean, sometimes we get a good hit and sometimes we don't. We're still new at this. We just started back in February of this year, 2024. Me and Austin really enjoys football. We both play fantasy football. We play dynasty, redraft, best ball. And we're just trying to share our thoughts and try to start a conversation. We want a little bit more reaction. I know it takes time to build uh, an audience. Hopefully, we get better at what we do and draws more people in. And I know we've lost some since we started, and for whatever reasons. But I know in the beginning, I think it was like our first 8 episodes, I had comments turned off, and we're now on our 20th or something like that. So I got the comments turned on now. So you guys are more than welcome to comment on any of our videos. And negative comments are just as good as not negative. And if you want to message us in on the Twitter, you can do that too. Give us a advice there, DM me, follow, send me a message. We will respond. Um, we'll be excited. We did get one comment. We overreacted on the comment. We enjoyed it, but that's one comment is the start. So we are also on you can't just catch the show on YouTube. You can also catch us on Spotify. I will start the interaction questionnaire on Spotify soon. I've been sitting there trying to figure out how to do all that. And we're getting closer to where we're going to set up a draft. So please pay attention to the X page. It'll let you know. I guess I need to go out and create a Facebook page too and try to link all this stuff together. So if you're not on X, you're on Facebook, Instagram. We're going to grow. We're going to get across more platforms. We just created a Discord channel. We'll send that information out on our Twitter page, try to start building it because we're undecided how we're going to do our live drafts. We're going to keep building this show and we're going to keep adding to social media. And I'm going to be a little bit more active on social media. I might need to get a little help on that sometimes because sometimes I'm not as active as I should be. And Austin's there. So we're going to start getting out
I
there.
can do that.
Yeah, we're going to start getting out there and getting a little bit more active and maybe start us a group page on Facebook and link it to our accounts and then also have an Instagram to show shorts and give you guys more information as we go through the football season. The other interesting list you guys want to catch from us is our way out early prediction for college. If you love college football, I think me and Austin did an awesome job on that show. Go back, watch it, because we'll do occasional college spurts throughout the season in our episodes because it matters. Because why does it matter? These are the next players coming out in fantasy football. These are the next stars that him and me are going to be running for or trying to get to put on our teams to make our teams better. So exciting. Thank you again for tuning in. Hit the like button. If you like what you watch, hit subscribe. And I apologize for my quarterback editing. So if you watched the quarterback episode, I know I blocked out me and Austin's head. You don't have to remind me. I totally missed that during the review, but hey, we're learning. We're getting better. You got anything, Austin?
Oh, the only thing I got is to make sure you share because sharing is caring.
I like that. Sharing is caring.